Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Federation Nation. I am Anthony, this is Collectors Entertainment Network, and today we are going to take a look at part 2 of my WWF LJN Wrestling Superstars memories. Unlike on my show That Figures, where I showed them in the order that they were released to the public, in this series I'm showing the order in which I got them. In the first episode, we took a look at 1987. I had gotten Piper at the beginning of the year. I had gotten SD Jones somewhere in late summer. And then I got a bunch for Christmas. So today, we're going to look at the first part of 1988. Because 1988 was probably the explosion year where I got them all year. And if I did the whole year, it'd be too much. 1988 is going to be at least 2, if not 3 videos, just so we can go over and really dive in. So we're going to get to that in a second. But before we get to that, I would like to ask you to please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, because I'd love to have you back. Please comment. I would love to hear your memories of WWF LJN Wrestling Superstars. And of course, please share this with anyone you think may like it. Also, I've got Collectors Entertainment Network Facebook page that you can go ahead and like, but also join my Federation Nation group on Facebook. You can search Federation Nation WWF. It's the easiest way to find it, and join the group and post pictures, post videos of your collections or anything from the WWF years for the World Wrestling Federation, from like 82 to I think 2002 they changed it. Anything is acceptable, but it mainly focuses on the 80s, early 90s. No NWA, no AWA, no WWE, not because we don't like that stuff, just because it's just not the focus of the group. Okay, let's get into these figures now. Okay, and like I showed you in the last video, here is my wrestling book from back in the day, when I used to have my own federation as a kid. It's like a treasure trove of memories. So you open it up, and the first thing I have here is where I scribbled down the dates that I got them. By the time I needed another page, it was much more easy to read, and it's got 2. Apparently this has got 1. Although I don't think I ever titled it, but that's what it was, because that's when I got them, or where I got them a lot of times. And if you see right over here, Jesse Ventura, I got either January 1st or January 2nd. I think it's the 1st. So we started 1988 off right after that Christmas, right after my birthday, which is a few days after Christmas. We started January 1988, the 1st, getting Jesse the Body Ventura. Here is his card and poster. Again, these are all mine from when I was a kid. None of these were purchased in the years later. Nothing from eBay. These are mine from when I was a kid. Here is Jesse the Body Ventura, and his figure is right here. There is the body. Now, let us look into the book here and find the wrestling card that was probably his debut. I believe it was January 2nd, 1988. Yes, I have a Saturday night's main event from January 2nd, 1988. If you guys want to take a look. That's my little kid handwriting. Don't worry about the stuff on the side that's falling out. So, where is his debut? In his first match, he took on Bruno Sammartino, who was the IC champ. Jesse took on Bruno Sammartino, and in his debut match, he won the Intercontinental title off the living legend Bruno Sammartino, January 2nd, 1988. What a debut for the body. Okay, fast forwarding to the end of January 1988, January 29th, 1988 to be precise, I got the ring. For the first time. I had already gotten the bendy steel cage ring for the Christmas that had just passed in 87. But I finally got, and I used to put the cage for, I mean, we're talking about a month that I had to do this, but I used to put I kept the cage on for the big guys, and then when I had matches with the little guys, I took the cage off. Unless, of course, it was a steel cage match for the bendies. But so that's what I did. But on January 29th, I got the ring. I unfortunately don't have the ring anymore. A long time ago, it broke, so I don't have it. But that same day, I was at TSS, which is a store in New York. I believe it stands for Times Square store. I wasn't in Times Square like New York City. It was on Long Island where I'm from. But that was a chain of stores called TSS or Times Square store, I believe. And anyway, so I got the ring that day. And I also got Mean Gene Okerlund. There he is. I finally had a ring announcer that I could announce my guys coming into the ring. And, of course, use him for commentating. Now, my Mean Gene is right here. And I think my Mean Gene was, like, defective. Because almost immediately, this black paint started peeling off. And if you see, I think I took a black pen and filled it in as a kid. But my Mean Gene, this wasn't, like, years and years of play. It was, like, almost immediately he started peeling on me. But that's the Mean Gene that I had as a kid. And he has the WWF logo on his mic. I think that's sort of a variant or something. I don't know if you could see it, but he's got it. Okay, so that is Mean Gene. I don't know exactly when his debut is. I might have written it down, but obviously he wouldn't be in a match. So there's Mean Gene. All right, so that was January 29th, 1988. Just a few days later on February 1st, 1988, I got two figures. I think they were from Playworld because I have a PW written pretty close to them here on this paper. I'll show you that in a second, but first, let's show you who they are. I got, on that February 1st, 1988, Big John Studd, right here, at the Coliseum, the main event. Big John Studd. And I got Greg the Hammer Valentine. Both of which I got that day. Here are their figures. Here is Big John Studd. Here is Greg the Hammer Valentine. So yeah, Big John and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Let's look and see what they did on their debut. So I got them February 1st. Let's look in here and see their first matches. Okay, I think I found it. And I have to go back on what I just said. Apparently I had Mean Gene wrestling. So here, on February 2nd, 1988, I had Bobby Heenan versus Mean Gene. Mean Gene in his debut, and he beat Bobby the Brain Heenan. And WrestleMania 2 was coming March 27th, 1988. My WrestleMania 2, which was a couple years behind the actual WrestleManias. So apparently Mean Gene debut as a wrestler. I don't remember that. And then I've got written in his debut, Greg Valentine. And I say written in because it's like most of it looks like this, and then in like a different color pen I wrote it. So I just got him and added him to the card. But I've also got, it looks like Studd versus Orndorff. It looks like I made Studd lose. But it doesn't say in his debut, which is strange because that's the day or the day after I got Big John Studd. So it would have to be his debut. Anyway, so that is February 2nd, 1988. It was just a regular WWF wrestling. It was a house show. It wasn't a big event. It was just a house show. So that is what I had going on then. Okay, so who do I have next? Oh, okay. On February 2nd, which is when this was, I got, maybe I already had this booked. I already had this booked. I couldn't get the next, yeah, because in the next event is his debut. Okay, so February 2nd, 1988, at the Genovese drugstore, which is kind of like a CVS or a Walgreens, but I think it was a New York or a Northeast-based drugstore. Genovese, they also had a little toy section, just like CVS and Walmart does. And I got the Macho Man, Randy Savage, on February 2nd, 1988, at the Genovese. Here is the poster and card. Here is that figure that I got 34 years ago. The Macho Man Randy Savage. Pretty cool. Put the figure back. Let us take a look. Okay. This was the main event. February 5th, 1988. Now, look. I wrote it on this little scratch pad. And that's where you could see it. But then it looks like I rewrote it to make it look a little bit more official. So that was the night of the main event, where Hogan versus Andre, Savage versus Honky Tonk, and the Harts versus Strike Force, I think, right? And that went like over the TV time. So that was the night that my Macho Man made his debut in my federation, and he took on Cprl Kirchner. I must have had Cprl Kirchner as a bad guy because it says with Bobby Heenan. And I'll tell you what, I know for a fact that pretty soon after this, Savage and Kirchner actually teamed up. They were, in my federation, they were the Executioners. Macho Man Randy Savage and Cprl Kirchner, they were a tag team. They were tag champs, I think, at least 2 times. I can go back. I've got those records too. And yeah, he teamed up with Kirchner, but here in his debut, he took on Cprl Kirchner, and I think I was using Kirchner as a bad guy. That's interesting. Well, you know what? When I look back at WrestleMania, right? Bruno beat Cprl Kirchner for the IC title. And yeah, it says Kirchner with Bobby Heenan. I guess I just did, for at least by that Christmas, I just didn't have any bad guys. I had to make Cprl Kirchner a bad guy. I mean, I had Sheik and Volkoff, and then that would have been it. I had Sheik and Volkoff. I had Piper, but Piper in my book was a good guy. So I probably made Cprl Kirchner a bad guy. Kind of makes sense. You know, kind of like that evil Sergeant Slaughter type of thing. But I know Cprl Kirchner eventually becomes a good guy because I know he takes on Nikolai Volkoff soon. And like I said, I know he teams with Macho Man. And I had Macho Man as a good guy from day one that I got him. Because when I got him, he was a good guy. And he was my favorite wrestler at the time. Okay, that brings us to February 17th, 1988. I was visiting my brother in California. I went to a store called Montgomery Ward. It was me and my dad. My dad took me to visit my brother. It was just me and my dad. My mom had the year before, I think, gone with her mother to Ireland to see their family there. So I think the following year, my dad was like, hey, I'm going to take a vacation. You get to take a vacation and go to Ireland. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm taking the boy, and we're going to visit the older boy in California. So apparently, and I have 2 sisters. So between my mom going to Ireland and me and my dad going to California, my 2 sisters, they didn't get to go anywhere that year. But they're much older than me, my siblings. But I was 8 years younger than my closest sibling. I was the my parents thought that they were done with 3, and then number 4 came. Anyway, so that's enough about me. On February 17th, 1988, I was out in California, and I got Cowboy Bob Orton. I don't have the sticker. I guess it didn't make it all the way from California, but I kept the card, and I remember this. It just kept it just kept peeling, and I just kept peeling it. So it looks like it's part of a tag team set because it's the cardboard, but it's not really, because Bob Orton wasn't part of a tag team set. If he was, I guess he could have been with Morocco. That would have been cool, but that was not a tag team. Anyway, so Cowboy Bob Orton, card, poster, figure is right here. And where's his hat? Oh no, I have his hat. It fell. Give me 1 second. Okay, and through the magic of editing, here is Cowboy Bob Orton with his hat. This, again, I got February 17th, 1988 in California, in a store called Montgomery Ward. Must have been out there, going to a store, saw him, and said, Dad, I don't have him. I need him. It's Cowboy Bob Orton. We're taking him back. I believe I also... I remember wrestling magazines, not WWF magazines. I was already buying WWF magazines, but I remember either I had my dad or my parents or whatever buy me wrestling magazines to take with me so I'd have something to read on the plane, or I got them when I was in California. I have this distinct memory of like a few wrestling magazines that I got, and most of them were, I mean, we're talking February of 88, but really what most of them had was like the Survivor Series 87 results. I'll have to find those magazines and do an episode of Federation Nation for those and all my other things. Obviously, go check out From the Pages of WWF Magazine where I go over WWF magazines, but I've got a lot of, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, the Main Event or whatever that was called. Anyway, that's another show. here you go, Cowboy Bob Orton. Oh, but before we leave Cowboy Bob Orton, here it is, March 8th, 1988. He made his debut. He took on Paul Orndorff, and he beat Paul Orndorff. And it's funny because if you look, I wrote Bob Cowboy Orton, and then I put the arrows to be like, no, it's Cowboy Bob Orton, not Bob Cowboy Orton. I don't know what I was thinking. So that was his debut. March 8th, 1988. Took on Paul Orndorff and beat Mr. Wonderful. Alright guys, I got one more figure I want to go through for today. But from the last figure I got, which was Bob Orton, to the next figure I got, which was until May 6th, 1988, I had a pretty big event. That was my Wrestlemania. I had Wrestlemania 2, March 27th, 1988. I did it at the same day that they had it. But if you look, it was 9 p.m. Eastern. So after I watched Wrestlemania 4, which I did at my cousin's house, after I watched Wrestlemania 4, which was probably from like 4 to 7 or whatever, and probably stayed there for a little bit, I went home immediately and made my own Wrestlemania. I probably had this. In fact, if you look, it's white out. I probably had it set for a different time, and then by the time I could get home and get to my figures, I had to change it. So this was probably made beforehand, and it's like it's a program. See, I've got the $2.50, but in Canada it's $3 or whatever it is. So let's see. Remember, I had Thumb and Bendy League within there. So you got Hillbilly Jim versus Nikolai Volkoff, and then you got the tag teams championship for them, and then the regular tag team. The big writing is regular LJNs. At Bruno Sammartino versus Cowboy Bob Orton. Mean Gene versus Bobby Heenan. Mean Gene and Bobby Heenan are just going at it, man. They got in a feud. I don't even know this. In last match as a wrestler for a long time. So I gave myself the freedom that if I needed to bring him back, be a Mean Gene. And he's... Oh, no, he lost. Bobby Heenan won. Okay, well, at least Bobby got back at Mean Gene. The next Saturday night's main event will be April 30th, 1988, NBC Channel 4. My federation was nationally televised. Here we go. Cprl Kirchner versus Nikolai Volkoff for the tag team titles. At Iron Sheik and Big John Studd take on SD Jones and Roddy Piper, who were the champs. They lost it to Sheik and Studd. That was my tag team champs. I didn't go the traditional Sheik and Volkoff because I needed Volkoff to fight Cprl Kirchner for that America versus Russia feud. Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Macho Man Randy Savage. The stretch title. Here it is. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man. Of course, both were good, but I don't know. Look at this. Got an ad. Get all the news with the WWF magazine. That's probably the actual thing. And here you go. Before WrestleMania 6, when it was Warrior versus Hogan, title for title. In 1988, I was doing title for title, except it was title versus title. The winner gets the heavyweight and the loser gets the IC because I didn't want someone having both belts. And I knew Hulk Hogan was going to win, and I didn't want to have to take the IC title off of him in some way. So there you go. And I've already got advertisements for WrestleMania 3 coming March of 89, a full year later. And that's when I was going to have Hogan versus Andre. I think that's when it was. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was March 27th, 1988. But I did get one more wrestler in May 6th, 1988, at a store called CBS. Not CVS, CBS, which was just like a local general store discount right in town on Main Street. Sort of just all sorts of things. And they had discounted stuff, I think. And it was just like, all they had of LJNs was this figure, and they had a ton of this figure. And it's funny because I've watched the New 80s Revolution, and he's talked about how he got this figure and how he couldn't find this figure, and the place that he went to only had one of this figure. Well, he should have come down to Long Island because this figure was, in this store, probably had like 15 or 20 of them. And I am talking about Miss Elizabeth. There is Miss Elizabeth. Poster and card. And here is the figure. Take a look. She's shinier, so she's getting a little glare because she's shinier than all the others. But there is Miss Elizabeth figure, poster, and card. And that's going to wrap up this episode. We're going to take a look in the next episode. I think we're going to do another chunk of 88. And then the last 88 will be around December and then into Christmas of 88. Because I'm telling you, I got a lot of figures in 88. So that's what we'll pick up next week with the next, like middle of 88 towards the end of 88. So guys, again, Federation Nation Facebook group, go ahead, join, post pictures, post videos of your collection. I'd love to see them. Of course, like the Collectors Entertainment Network Facebook page, and then like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this video with anyone you think may like it, and of course, please comment. I would love to hear from you down below in the comments about your LJN memories. All right, that's it for this week. Next week, like I said, we'll be back with more 1988 stuff. And again, it's what I got in 1988. So they could be from 85, 86, 87, but it's what I got in the second half of 1988. All right, until then, have a good one.